Good day, peeps. Welcome to Heart Talks. I want you to meet Jeff Fasano. Jeff is not only an amazing photographer, but he is also an author of a book called Journey of the Awakened Heart, which I love that. I love that title. Great title. And he is a channel for Archangel Michael. And more than not just about his book and his photography today, I want to talk about how his abilities kicked in, how he discovered them, and how he started sharing these with everyone. And I want to also say that in the short time that I've been able to talk to Jeff, I've called him Michael 3 times. So I know that Michael is strong with you. And I also want to say in this moment that we both invite Michael to be with us in this interview and share through our hearts to his heart. And Jeff, thank you so much for joining my Heart Talks family.
Oh, my pleasure, Sheila, my pleasure.
Well, okay, so it's hard to find a beginning point because we've just been for all eternity, but how would you describe how your abilities started kicking in this lifetime?
Well, before I do that, what I do is I am a trance channel, which means that I completely leave my body, and the energy of Archangel Michael and many other energies, but the main one being Archangel Michael, comes in and speaks through me. So there are 3 types of channels: a conscious channel, semi-conscious, and then a trance channel. So I leave my body, and then the energy comes through and speaks. And just like we're having a conversation right now, you can have a conversation with the energy, and in this case, the energy of Archangel Michael.
Okay, and for some of our viewers who might not understand, when you say, I leave my body, what does that mean?
It means that I leave my body. And everybody does it in one way, shape, or form. They kind of move out of the way. We step aside to let the energy come through. Some people do it consciously. A wonderful example of that is Esther Hicks.
Right.
Okay, I'm sure your audience is familiar with Abraham Hicks and what Esther Hicks does.
Yes.
Now, if you've seen Esther Hicks and what she does, is she's conscious. Her eyes are open. She's walking around on stage. There's a lot of Esther in it. And so she's conscious, and the energy comes through.
Right.
And it's wonderful what she does.
Yeah.
So that's an example of a conscious channel. And that's predominantly what most people do. Mm-hmm. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, they'll come through and they'll say, oh, I feel a message coming through. But they're conscious. I do the same thing. When I do groups or stand in front of people, I'll close my eyes and I'll say, Michael, we have 30 minutes, whatever the audience needs to hear, let's bring it through. I close my eyes and then I start speaking. Right. But I'm totally conscious when that happens. Mm. Then you have a semi-conscious channel who might close their eyes like this, and then the energy will come in and start speaking, but they're present with it. My partner, Philip Collins, in the Angel News Network is a semi-conscious channel. He closes his eyes, the energy comes through and speaks, but he's present, even though he might not, he kind of remembers. So that's what a semi-conscious channel does. And I'm sure your audience has experienced both, and I'm sure your audience has experienced a trance channel. A trance channel is me. I close my eyes and I completely leave. And the energy comes through and moves through me, and you can have a conversation, and and I do groups, and so that's the there's a channel named Paul Selig, or Selig. There's a wonderful channel. I met him in California a couple of months ago. He's a semi-conscious channel. He's standing, his eyes are closed, and the energy comes through and speaks to him. But he's because he's standing as a trance channel. I sit down because I'm not there. Right. So I sit down, and that's how the energy comes through. And I just close my eyes and repeat, release and let go, release and let go. This is not about me. And then I see like a corridor of light that comes down. And then I see a flash of white light. And then I'll see like this hologram of Archangel Michael on a horse and has a scepter. And he points a scepter at me. And then the next thing I know, I come back and the session's over. So that's what I see. I'm a photographer, so I'm visual. So that's what I'm seeing.
Right. There's your process to get into.
That's the process.
Right. And for those who are just learning this process, there is a great deal of trust that is involved. Because it's probably very natural trust for you, but for people who have not done this before, they might have a trust issue that something might go wrong or whatever. So let's back up the train. And how did you come to know Archangel Michael to the point to where you surrendered yourself to share his words?
Well, it goes back to around 1999, back in New York City. My healer, mentor, teacher, Robert Baker at Children of Light in New York was a trance channel. And he channeled many energies, but the main energy is the energy of Archangel Gabriel. Mm-hmm. And so I was used to seeing Robert do that. But the thing about it was, for me, is he used to do a group every Sunday night in New York. So the first time I ever went, it was the information and the message that Gabriel had was just something I've never heard before. Personally, I never even looked at Robert like he was channeling. It didn't matter to me. All I was focused on was feeling the energy, but listening to the amazing words. And it didn't even matter to me that it was Archangel Gabriel, or it was James Earl Jones, or the doorman down the street. Right. It was this amazing message, and that's all that mattered to me. Right. So as we were walking home that night, and this story does lead somewhere, I was with my friend Alexandra, and she looked at me and said, "So what do you think?" And I went, what do I think about what? And she says, "Well, what do you think about Robert doing that?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about, but did you listen to that message? Did you listen to what Gabriel was saying?" And she says, "Well, do you have any doubts about Robert?" I said, "Who cares what Robert's doing?" I didn't even focus on that. I was focused on whether Robert was doing it, or it was Morgan Freeman, or it was, the guy at the bodega down the street. Right. I said, what came through was just blew me away. It was extraordinary. And then, of course, Gabriel opened up for questions, and I would listen to the people's questions and listen to Gabriel respond to the questions, and it never entered my mind that Robert was channeling, or he wasn't channeling, or he was making it up, because it didn't matter. So that is the foundation that will be the end answer to your main question, to how people can begin to trust. So once that happened, it was 2 years later, and it was on my 44th birthday. And my friend Deborah Gill invited me over to her apartment in Manhattan to do a session just for my birthday. So I went over, I laid on her table. She heals with crystals. And so I was holding the crystals, I had crystals on me. And since it was my birthday, I really wanted to open up and receive. So I closed my eyes and just started repeating, release and let go, release and let go, release and let go, release. And just was repeating that to myself. And I felt myself drifting as if I was in the corner of the room looking down at what was happening, but I wasn't seeing anything. And in that moment, all of these warriors came up right in front of my face, like in full garb. Now, I'm an ex-jock, I had a lot of armoring, and my intention for that session was to begin to release the armoring. So I was seeing these warriors, and they would leave. Another warrior would come and leave. And they were dressed in full garb with weapons and stuff like that. When that ended, I opened my eyes and I said, Deborah, that was a quick hour. She goes, that was 2 hours and you channeled Archangel Michael. And that's how trance channels are connected.
Wow.
Robert Baker was in a meditation group. And Robert felt himself, like he would, everybody's gone through this. Like you'd be someplace and you're falling asleep and he's trying to stay awake. And he thought he was falling asleep. And then he opened his eyes and everybody in the group was staring at him. He was looking around saying, what happened? And they said, you just channeled the Archangel Gabriel. So that's how we were connected. Now Robert went, I had no clue. When Michael connected with me, I'd heard of Archangel Michael. So when that happened, I went and I started doing all of this research on Archangel Michael and what that was all about. And then that subsequent week, I called my friend Brian and Deborah again. I said, let's do this. Let's bring in Michael. So I just closed my eyes and did it again. And then I opened my eyes and they both looked at me and Brian goes, wow, that's the real deal. And that was 2002.
That was 2000.
So the key in all of this, and where a lot of people get stuck, and I have examples of people who are amazing, amazing channels who make it about themselves. You get caught up into your wounding of whatever that is. How am I going to be perceived outside of myself to the world if I'm doing this? So right then and there, you're judging and shaming yourself.
Right.
And the reason why I began this with my first experience with Robert Baker channeling Gabriel is because I didn't care. For some reason, and it wasn't conscious, it did not matter to me what was going on. All that mattered to me was what I was, and the message totally resonated for me.
Right. There was a vibrational match.
So the thing is that's the key. So if I never doubted for one moment what I was doing. But if somebody says, I'm receiving this, and then want to bring it out to the world, and many people don't. Many people might be writing it, recording it. Underneath it, people might be thinking, what are people going to think of me?
Right.
So you immediately get yourself in the way, your wounds, your stuff about how you're perceived out in the world, as opposed to moving back in. Once again, why I began with, it didn't matter to me that it was Robert or anybody else. It was all about the message. So when you receive a message that comes in, you can write it down, you could record it or whatever, read the message. And then ask yourself, does that resonate for me? Wow, that might be really cool. And maybe share it with somebody really close.
Mm-hmm.
So the key to trust, it's not about trusting the message. It's about trusting you, but also looking at your wounds and your stuff about going out in the world and doing it. Thus, that's the main part of Michael's teachings.
Right.
Is moving within to release all of that stuff.
Right.
So you can fully be present in the world, being who you are, and bringing forth energies, whatever it is, based upon your talents and gifts.
You know, the healing process has so many paths, and I really want people to know that the universe is on our side, and they really are here to help us heal these wounds within, because that's the only thing that's covering our bright stars in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And to have a direct connection and communication with any of the angels, any of our guardians, is such a healing process in itself. And to be willing and wanting to be desirous to heal is probably one of the biggest first steps in having our abilities kick in. And I see your kitty in the back. And so can you share with us some of the messages that Michael has for us in that realm of healing?
Well, go back to when we brought in Michael the very first time, and I think it was Brian, he told me, asked Michael, so, why are you here? And he said, we're here to bring you from your mental body into your heart space. Mm-hmm. And to begin to live your life through your heart. Michael's main purpose, or let's backtrack. The way Michael has explained it to us is that I'm not channeling Archangel Michael. What I'm channeling is an energy or a frequency with a specific level of consciousness, with a specific message from the archangelic realm of Michael, which is a whole field of energies, a whole field of different frequencies, and at levels of consciousness. So one of the things I did when I first started doing this, I went to a metaphysical bookstore in New York and saw all of these different books of people channeling the energy of Archangel Michael. Mm-hmm. This is how Michael puts it. He goes, you're channeling an energy or a frequency at a specific level of consciousness with a specific message. So this frequency, this energy, is all about the personal process. It's all about the movement within and healing within. So I have channeled 5 different bodies of teachings from Michael. One that I've chose to be my first book, called Journey of the Awakening Heart, Discovering Who You Are and Why You Are Here. And it's a step-by-step process that he moves about releasing and your wounding, acknowledging, seeing your wounding, all that. That's what this energy, the message of this energy is. It's the end result, if there's an end result in it, is to move deeper within to fully love, honor, and value yourself. Right. That's what Michael is here to do. So when we start doing this, the reason why Michael came, this energy, this frequency, this message, or this level of consciousness came to me with that being its main purpose of loving, honoring, and valuing yourself more deeply. That's my biggest challenge in this lifetime. So the energy came to me for me first. So any body of teaching, any lesson, I read them and I did the exercise, because Michael gives a lot of exercises. Right. And I realized that the energy connects with us first for us.
Yes.
And that's my biggest challenge, is a continuous deepening of loving, honoring in me, and then eventually my talents and gifts.
Right.
So that's this energy's message.
So,
That's this energy's purpose.
in Journey of the Awakened Heart, there are exercises or steps
Yes.
that he shares to get to your opening heart.
Yeah, he came to us and told us it was a 2 10-part series. The first part being who are you? The second part being why you are here. Rediscovering and remembering your talents and gifts. So the first part of the book, Michael takes us into ourselves. The second part of the book is geared towards discovering or remembering and rediscovering our talents and gifts.
Oh,
and he begins it by saying, now that you have discovered who you are, now we're going to move you into rediscovering and remembering your talents and gifts.
Wow.
And there's exercises within it.
That involves letting go of a lot of things that we've been doing and thinking and saying for a long time. And I actually, boy, I can clearly remember the exact day that I was asked to let go of even the greatest things that I had achieved or exercised or was doing so that I could discover the next level, deeper self of me. And there was a time where I felt a little lost without all my titles that I had worked towards for so long. But it was the most freeing thing that I've ever done. And thank God I had guidance as well, just like you're talking about, guidance the whole way. And really, that once that journey begins, it's so comforting. It's so real. It's so deep. It's so loving. I mean, there's just not enough words to describe that journey once you start getting in there and discovering, and how awesome that you would be able to put this, you and Michael would be able to put this in a step-by-step, because, people hear all the time, go within, you can do this, you can do that, but you don't know what to do, really. And thank you so much for putting this into a practical way to go from head to heart. That's very cool.
He begins the book not the book. It was a body of channelings that came in 20 weeks.
In 20 weeks.
Yeah, there's 20 parts to. But before he even started, he said he gave us a meditation or a grounding practice.
Oh, nice. And
it's at the beginning of the book, but he says before you do every exercise, follow. Well, they don't. These energies aren't telling you what to do. They always suggest.
Right.
Because it's always about keeping free will.
Exactly.
Keeping free will open. So Michael would say, we suggest, and if you choose.
Right. Well, and how has your life evolved with this gift? I mean, you've got this, you discover this amazing gift and healing, and so then what did you start doing with it after that?
I started a group in New York City that met every other week. And then we formed a group called Children of the Awakened Heart. And I started I created a website and started publishing a lot of the channelings and all that good stuff. That was the beginning of it. And then, like 4 years, I was just really not doing, I didn't have a website, I wasn't doing anything specific, but I was doing it. Like people go, oh, can you do it? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I was just doing it.
Right.
And then on April 23rd of 2006, my friend Peter Frame and I got together. And I said, Peter, I really think I'm feeling it so strongly that we bring in Michael. So they said, cool. So we scheduled a time. We went in. I went in. I came out. And I was out for about 2 hours or more than that. And Peter looked at me. He goes, Michael just came in and asked us to bring in a body of teachings for 120 days. So that is when, so we started doing it. So Peter and I got together for once a week for 4 months and brought in a body of teachings that Michael called the 120-day teachings. And he called it the foundation of these teachings. That's when it really started to, I said, okay, now I've got to start really doing stuff with this. 3 months after that, he came with a body of teachings called the 8 Levels of Power. So we brought in Michael once a week for 8 weeks. After that, we started a group called Children of the Awakened Heart, and with a few people back in New York. And then we brought Michael in to start guiding us. And he said, before you begin any endeavor, we're going to bring you a body of teachings, and I don't know how he put it, called 5 agreements. And these are agreements that you make with yourself, but if you're forming an endeavor, you make with each other before you even begin this group. So we did that for 5 weeks and brought in Michael, and he brought in 5 agreements. And then we started this group. And then, so that began. And then after that ended. So then we took a spiritual journey to Mount Shasta in California. And Michael put the entire journey together with rituals. We brought in Michael every week, and he did a preparation for about 7 months before the journey. He gave the dates and all that good stuff, and did that. That group ended at the end of that journey. So then my friend Philip Collins and Joel Anastasia got together, and we formed a group that we have now called the Angel News Network. And then subsequently, I brought in 2 more bodies of teachings from Michael. And then after the 5 agreements, let me backtrack a little bit. We were meeting one day with Children of the Awakened Heart, and Brian Brennan, who was there from the very beginning, said, let's bring in Michael and ask him if he has anything in store for us. So we went, cool, let's bring him in. So we brought him in, and that's when he said, we're going to bring you a 2 10-part series called Who Are You, Why You Are Here, Rediscovering and Remembering Your Talents and Gifts. That's my book. And then he came in, after Children of the Awakened Heart ended, he came in with 2 more bodies of teachings in the Angel News Network. So I think I have a total of 6.
Wow.
With 1 book.
Wow.
This is when all of this began, is when I really started to realize what this was all about. So I channeled all of that, and now I have a website called Journey of the Awakened Heart, and it has messages, videos, audios of everything. Right now, we're bringing in Michael once a month because we do. We bring him in around the beginning of January of every year, and he does a yearly overview.
Nice.
And this year, he said it's going to be a month-by-month process this year of moving towards the life you say you want. So we were bringing once a month. So we've been doing that. I haven't put out September's yet. So I guess this is a roundabout way of answering your question of how it has evolved into bringing the teachings of this energy out into the world. And now I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and in October at 2 different places here, I'm going to start doing groups, and I do one-on-one sessions, private sessions with people. And I do a once-a-month group online with the Angel News Network called Divine Discussions, a gathering with Archangel Michael.
Oh, I got it.
So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm doing with it now.
Wow.
And I've done groups, and I have a workshop that I do that's based on the first part of my book that I have done at, I'm sure some of your people out there who watch this are familiar with Agape in Los Angeles.
Yes.
And I've done my workshop out there, and I've done groups there. And I've done groups all over, New York and various places. And I start here in October at 2 different places in Nashville.
Wow. Well, Jeff has agreed to doing another show where he will actually bring Michael in, and I so do appreciate that, and I do really look forward to that, and thank you for everything you've done, because every single time that someone's heart opens, it saves our entire world. It extends past our world. Every time somebody opens their hearts a little bit more, it's for everyone. And what you're doing is for everyone, whether they get to be with you or not. Everything that you're doing is for the betterment of this world and for all of us. And I thank you very much for what you're doing.
Oh, you're so welcome. The important thing in all of this, moving in an inner journey within yourself, Robert Baker used to say it's not for the faint of heart, because you're going to move through a lot of stuff within you.
Right.
But the key to doing the inner work that leads you to a place, a deeper place within you, to really love, honor, and value yourself. If we all did this, when people talk about how do I change the world outside of myself, people keep on wanting to do that. And what's changing? If we're focused continually on what's out there and what needs to change out there, the only way that we as an individual can have a direct effect on changing something out there, and as Michael said, you're not changing anything that's out there. It's about creating a new world of community, harmony, and equality.
Right.
The only way we can affect change in a totally different way is we have to do it here first. And I guarantee you, everybody who's watching this right now knows that and has heard that a million times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to say, I just want to find my life partner and love somebody, Michael would ask you, so dear one, how deeply do you love yourself?
That's right.
Because the only relationship that you're having with anything, to the world outside of yourself, to anybody else in your life, is a direct reflection of the relationship that you're having with yourself.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking at the world outside of yourself going, man, it's awful, well, then you're just looking at a mirror.
That's right. That's right. And I'm looking at you right now, and I think I'm doing okay. All right. Remind people again where you can be found.
We'll begin with, I'm a co-founder of the Angel News Network with my partners Joel Anastasi and Philip Collins. You can go and see what we are all doing there, including my Michael channelings and videos, etc., at theangelnewsnetwork.com. Mm-hmm. And then you can go to my site, journeyoftheawakenedheart.net, and specifically read about my book. There are channelings up there, audio channelings, videos of everything that I do.
Right.
And it explains what one-on-one sessions are, what group sessions are. And you can go there. And also, I'm a professional photographer for anybody out there. And you can see my work at my name, JeffFasano.com, and that's JEFFFASANO.com, and see my work there. And just to know that at the Angel News Network, every other Thursday night, we do an online group on our teleconferencing line called Divine Discussions.
Right.
Philip is a conscious channel, so he will be channeling next Thursday, the 15th. Then 2 weeks after that, I'll be doing my Michael gathering online, where you can come in, hear a message from Michael, and then actually ask him a question. And that's what the groups are about. And if you want know more about that, go to both websites, or you can contact me at jeff@theangelnewsnetwork.com, and I'll let you know all about that.
Great. Well, I'll post all of that under our YouTube and under our Facebook interview posts so that people be able to find you. Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much. And I am really look forward to having a channeled message from Michael through you. And I appreciate your time and thank you for everything that you do.
Oh, thank you so much, Sheila.
All right.
My pleasure.
Well, peeps, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Check him out. Check out his websites and everything he's doing. From my heart to yours, everyone, namaste.